Trump is laying out the knockout blows to the Democrats, to Biden, Chuck Schumer. Trump is officially locking out many Democrats and Joe Biden. Yeah, because I didn't know this, but Joe Biden still has access to all the intelligence hearings and all the agendas going on. But there are top Democrats that have been sitting in, getting all the info about Trump's agenda. Well, guess what? He said, look, since y'all are not for the agenda, you're not going to be a part of it anymore. And he has officially locked them out. The Democrats have been trying to get in, get details. They're trying to stop they're trying to create a government shutdown. And because they're fighting Trump so much, he has officially cut them out, guys. I mean, this is such a crazy headline. Joe, you're fired. President Trump revokes Biden's security clearances, intel briefings, and he's just the beginning, everybody. Like, as crazy as this to say, Trump is officially just bringing in the MAGA people and cutting everybody out. Trump and Elon have hired, guys, listen to this, private security teams, and are locking out Democrats from every department building that they are investigating, including the Treasury, the Department of Education, and soon, Trump's next big target, the Pentagon. We have video showing the Democrats are trying to get in to these buildings because they said they want to speak to some people. And Trump said, we're not having it. They're monitoring their government phones. They're monitoring the phone lines. He said, we've got to watch everything right now because we know there's corruption and we know that there are some people that are going to try and hide it. So we're going to kick everybody else. No Democrats, no Republican, besides Trump's security team and Elon and the Doge can go into certain places. Also, guys, this is breaking news. As crazy as it is to say, today, President Trump announced that he will be removing illegal immigrants from receiving Social Security. Yes, a ton of immigrants have been receiving Social Security, even though they've never paid in. On top of that, the FCC is now considering revoking CBS's broadcast license after it deceptively edited Kamala Harris's 60-minute interview. This is per the FCC chair. This is insane. CBS could literally lose their broadcasting license and they would have to be sold off to another company and redone in order to get back on the air because of what they did with the Kamala Harris interview, which that's justice. And on top of that, the Doge team has unveiled today that Ivy League schools like Harvard, Yale, Johns Hopkins were taking taxpayer dollars to pay for their teachers and administration when they had over collectively $100 billion in the bank. More fraud is being caught every single day. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, guys. We got a ton of breaking news tonight, guys. This is huge. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I want to give some love to all the members of the channel. We've already got Ruby Hoove, who has got a super chat on the channel. Show her some love. And David Mellon, who is gifted 5 TrueLife memberships. If you got a membership, show David some love in the chat. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And just want to say thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Guys, we got a ton of breaking news. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help out so much, everybody. This is crazy. What we're seeing here, Trump is not playing around. He's revoked Biden's security clearances, intel briefings, and a ton of top Democrat officials where they can't even go into department buildings. Check this out because we have the evidence, guys. Corruption has been found.
This is what was going on when Biden was the vice president. You remember these calls? This is how freaked out they were. They had to impeach Donald Trump when he calls Zelensky and starts asking questions about the Ukraine grift. And this is where USAID fits in. You may have forgotten these tapes. I'm not going to let you. This is the president prior to Zelensky. And by the way, Zelensky knows all of this. This guy Poroshenko. Biden's got the Ukraine book for the Obama White House. Obama puts him in charge. Biden uses it to make money right away. Here he is freaked out, talking to the prior Ukrainian president, Poroshenko, about this new prosecutor who's going to start looking into how Biden family and all these other people who are making a ton of money in Ukraine. Here's Biden freaked out. And I'll translate the Ukrainian president has a thick accent. I'll tell you what he says. But I want you to listen to this. They had to shut this thing down. And that's where USAID came in. Check this out.
Let me ask you one thing before I forget. Privat bank. I understand the governor of the bank is tentative about setting a date certain for the transition to take place. And I'm being told secondhand that, I don't know if this is her position for sure, that she is unsure of a date until she gets an agreement from you. Here's what I've told them. I've told them to get back to her and set a date, and I would talk to you about the date. Because this is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail. So anything you can do to push the Privat bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security.
Wow.
I know it's difficult. I know Kolomoisky is a pain in the ass and a problem for everybody, but it really is critical.
Do you guys see what's going on here?
It's corruption.
We play this one first for a reason. Biden is basically threatening the Ukrainian president prior to Zelensky. Hey, man, your physical security could be at risk if you don't shut this down right away. Notice what he's talking about. He's afraid Donald Trump is going to start looking into the money going to Ukraine. That's what that whole thing is about. He's afraid of Privat Bank specifically, which is a bank alleged to be involved in the payments between Burisma and the Biden family through Hunter Biden.
Golly,
He
guys.
doesn't want, very simply stated, he is terrified that Ukraine, Poroshenko, is going to start asking President Trump for Ukrainian money. President Trump and his team are going to start looking at the money that went over there and find what? Maybe that USAID funds were involved in the attacks on Donald Trump, the collusion hoax, and the other stuff. You get what's going on here? By the way, hat tip OANN, Chanel Rion for doing a great job on this, by the way, and others. That's where some of these clips are from. Appropriate hat tips in order. It gets worse. Here's Biden again. I've got two more of these. Talking about, again, the prosecutor general and FBI investigations, where he grows increasingly freaked out that people are going to start looking into all the people who are making money in Ukraine, Democrats and Republicans, by the way, him being one of them. And he's terrified Trump is going to be the guy to shut this gravy train down and expose what's going on. Check this out.
Assuming that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general, I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion.
Guys, y'all, I'm gonna fast forward. I have to for I don't want to get copyrighted, guys. But did you hear that? That he says he's prepared to sign for the $1 billion if you do this. Talk about corruption.
After threatening the guy, he now says, hey, that $1 billion loan guarantee the U.S. is going to help you out with, yeah, now I'll go out and do a public signing as long as you make the prosecutor general looking into this whole thing Trump's looking into go away. That hat tip New York Post on that one. And again, that's all the same people, folks. The Democrats have had an unusual interest in one Rudolph Giuliani for the last, 8 years? Suing him, trying to prosecute him, destroying his reputation. You know Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York. Why? That's why. Because if you were watching and not listening to the podcast, if you're watching on Rumble, you'll see in that post clip that those tapes, some of them were released through someone, through Giuliani. So, of course, instead of actually investigating those tapes, which is the biggest freaking scandal of our time, they investigate who?
Donald Trump.
Rudy Giuliani. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if it turns out there's a USAID connection to that, too. Do you understand what your government has been doing in your name? Opening your border, actively terrorizing its citizens through censorship campaigns, funding operations around the world to get rid of Donald Trump and put his people in jail?
Guys, let me tell you this. Today, they have found so much corruption, guys. Want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, guys. Literally have over 1,100 people already watching. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button. Guys, let's hit some big numbers today for the likes. Thank you for your support. So the CBO released a report today, guys. This is huge. Congress funneled $516 billion into expired programs with zero oversight in 2024. This is insane, guys. $516 billion. I want to bring the receipts. I want to show you where the federal budget was at just a couple years ago so you can get some perspective. But I want to say thank you so much, Ruby Hoove, for gifting one TrueLife News membership. Let's go. Growing the fam. Y'all show Ruby some love in the chat. And Ty Matt Chong, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, finally, Trump effects start on day one. J20, lots of things got changed and cleaned up, started making sure all transparency on tax fund. Let's go. Y'all show Ty some love in the chat. So, guys, I just showed you $516 billion was spent out of the $6.1 trillion. That's almost 10% with no oversight. Nobody has any idea on where this money is going that the CBO just reported. On top of that, guys, guess who's about to be audited next? The defense, the Pentagon. They get, in 2023, it was $805 billion, and then it went up to like $864 billion. Well, guess what? Elon Musk and them have already said that they see $200 to $300 billion. Guys, $200 to $300 billion in fraud and waste at the Department of Defense at the Pentagon. The Medicare, today, they announced this was $839 billion towards Medicare. Found $100 billion in fraud in one day at Medicare. We probably got trillions and trillions of dollars of fraud, waste, and abuse that the American people have just been paying for every single year. And we had nobody looking into it. Nobody was checking it out until now, guys. And I love it. Want to say thank you so much, Sharon Holt, for the super chat. Let's go. Said excited to watch Trump team clean up the mess in the worldly. I pray for their safety every day. 100%. Y'all show Sharon some love in the chat. Check this out.
What we're going to do is cut spending. If we can't cut spending, let's face it now. And if you don't cross the Potomac, and you don't go to that big building that's right next to Arlington National Cemetery, you're kidding yourself. And so if we're kidding ourselves, let's just have a conversation and said, oh, it's okay, we're going to find some, waste, fraud, and abuse in the boats they're commissioning at the National Oceanographic Society, and we're going to shut down USAID, which I think is amazing, and that's $40 or $50 billion a year, and that's a start. That's a start. We'll find waste, hundreds of billions of dollars in Medicaid and Medicare. I'm sure there's tons of waste and fraud over there. But programmatically is where you're going to get cuts. Mm-hmm. And we have to have this conversation on this $900 billion defense bill that's got pork all in it. It's got corruption all in it. It's got incompetence in it. Good God, folks, we didn't win 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, spent $9 trillion, or net present value from also the care of the wounded and the psychologically damaged and destroyed.
I want to tie it back to EJ and Tony. Remember, there's no net job growth over the last 5 years for American citizens. Embrace that for a second. Net job growth over 5 years, with the Biden regime putting on, I think, $6 or $7 trillion on the national debt. We're running $2 trillion deficits every year. $2 trillion deficits in all those years, and net job growth did not go to American citizens. How does that happen?
This is so messed up, guys.
American citizens, 60% of the American citizens can't put their hands on $1,000 in cash. 60% of the households. And what Homan and Bensman are telling you is not simply the fentanyl. We got to make sure that the country's hermetically sealed. You can't have any more. You can't have any more invasions of illegal aliens. You got to stop the invasions. You have to then deport all the people to get wages back right. You then have to stop the scam on all the visas, all the phony visa programs that let indentured servants, particularly from South Asia, who are exploited, the exploitation of those folks in here to compete with American labor. Over the last 5 years, given the fact they ran up trillions of dollars of national debt and have deficits of $2 trillion a year, which American citizens have to pay back. You're the ones paying the interest on it. No net job growth for American citizens. Embrace that. That's the scam. That's the con. And finally, President Trump designated the cartels as terrorist organizations to allow us to go to all types of things about stopping their financing, but particularly ability to go kinetic. And the Mexican military is going to be part of this. But you heard Bensman right there. They're working on right now, and you heard Homan. And you saw in Zero Hedge the other day, we sent the almost, I guess, like the old AWACS aircraft down, the spy aircraft, like a platform down Baja, searching out what the cartels are doing over the mainland. And it's going to go kinetic because these cartels have to be broken to stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, but also send a signal there's a new sheriff in town, and we're not going to just let our country be invaded anymore.
Yes.
This is outrageous. You're left with the debt that's caused inflation. You have to pay back the crowding out so that entrepreneurs like Mike Lindell can't get capital, the crowding out of capital. And if it had net job growth of, I don't know, 10% for the American citizens, it'd still be tough to rationalize, but you could kind of make an argument, well, this was to build a job force for American citizens, but it's the exact opposite. 100% of net job growth in the last 5 years have gone to non-citizens, not people, not native-born Americans.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm not a nativist, but working-class whites, blacks, Hispanics deserve a shot here. And they don't need to compete against the world in their own country. In their own country, they can compete against the world in their manufacturing, what their labor rates are, productivity rates, all of it. The same with the kids coming to these engineering schools. They can compete with the world in the world. They shouldn't have to compete with the world for a job, particularly for an entry-level tech job in their own country. It's not what their grandparents built this country for, their great-grandparents, their parents. This is an obscenity. It's the twisted logic of the people that run this country. And Homan and Bensman are telling you that this thing with the cartels could go kinetic. I believe I think you have to very quickly cut them off from every source of financing and banking and use the SWIFT system and cut them. You have to choke them down. Like eventually you have to choke down the Chinese Communist Party. But eventually, I think you have to drop the hammer. And I believe Mexico is going to be at the tip of that. I think President Sheinbaum has been different than particularly her mentor, who I think was kind of owned by the cartels. She sent 10,000 troops to the border. We've sent troops to the border. I think something's going to happen. I think they're going to lead the way. But, hey, since it's a terrorist organization, it gives us wide latitude for paramilitary operations.
Guys, let me tell you this. The Trump is not, he doesn't want to have anything to do with the Democrats right now. He sent this response on True Social, posted that, I didn't even know this, that the previous president and top Democratic officials actually have access to classified information and security clearances, daily intelligence briefings. But listen to this. Donald Trump said there is no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information. Therefore, we are immediately revoking Joe Biden's security clearances and stopping his daily intelligence briefings. He set this precedent in 2021 when he instructed the intelligence community to stop me, 45th president of the United States, me from accessing details on national security, a courtesy provided to former presidents. The Her report revealed that Biden suffers from poor memory and even in his prime could not be trusted with sensitive information. I will always protect our nation, national security. Joe, you're fired. Make America great again. Whoa, guys, shots fired. Things are going out. Trump is laying them out. Thank you so much, Sherry Garcia, for the super chat. Let's go. Said others like Zelensky might come forward and say they did not receive as much as we're being told. 100%. They're going to try to cover their butts as much as possible. Andy, thank you so much for the super chat, who said, and the worst is yet to come. Doge has only found 1% of the USAID crimes. Y'all show Andy and Sherry some love in the chat. And I want to say thank you to Woodbury Hill Studio for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. If you got a membership, y'all show Woodbury Hill Studio some love in the chat, guys. I'm going to show y'all the painting that they did at the end of the show. Again, guys, such a beautiful painting that Woodbury Hill Studio did for the channel. But again, guys, right now, Trump is locking all the Democrats out of the federal buildings because he knows they're trying to communicate with certain people. And you could say, what about texting? What about calling? They're monitoring the lines. They're monitoring everything. Watch this.
It's the latest full-on freakout from the left, who've been protesting a cost-cutting initiative all week at various buildings. Government workers now have until at least Monday to decide whether to accept a buyout. So far, 65,000 workers have accepted it. The media also has a bone to pick with Doge by attacking one of Elon's young engineer workers, a 19-year-old tech wizard, and the preferred nickname he's used online.
Begin tonight with Musk and Big.
He called himself Big, B-A-L-L-S. I won't say the whole words. I won't be vulgar. That's what he calls himself. So Big, B-A-L-L-S, has all of our Social Security data.
She was treating that guy so terribly. She was like the woman at the
television.
For the television.
I like how they're mad because Big is a teenager. Stunts that I used to pull. This is the kind of gonzo journalism. Let me in here with my little camera crew for the Factor. These are supposed to be members of Congress. This is all they have as a stunt. Don't they have lawyers? Aren't there like parliamentary tactics they could use? Don't they have the power of the purse? Instead, they're just doing this stuff for the television.
For the television.
I like how they're mad because Big is a teenager. So if you're a teenager, the Democrats say you can cut your off.
Nicely done.
But if you're a teenager, you can't log on to a government computer. I mean, his name's Big, he's a villain, but if he cuts him off, he's a hero. What? This guy is a computer genius who's saving us billions of dollars. The other teenage prophet they told us to listen to from Norway, Greta, she was costing us billions of dollars.
Ooh.
This is ridiculous. I actually think illegally they have to let her in, but if you are a threat, then he's on solid ground.
I'm not sure.
Well, first of all, when do you think the last time that these members of Congress were at the Department of Education? That's the first question I have. And now all of a sudden, for political theater, they need to go there and demand to get in. And I love when Maxine Waters says, lift up your face, hold your face up so we can see you. Look them in the eye, tell us your name, give us that ID again. From a woman in a party who don't report of him. I mean, this whole thing is about...
Guys, what y'all just saw there was private security by Elon and Trump not letting the Democrats into the Department of Education. I want to say thank you so much for your support, guys. Got almost 1,200 people watching. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, guys, y'all are the best. Thank you so much for your support. I want to say thank you to Mr. Norby with the super chat. You said, make it happen, brother. Gifting all this for memberships in the Brotherhood Alive. You're doing a lot you're doing for me. Hey, y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat.
The bottom line, it's not about all the stuff we're talking about here. If you want to talk about the real issues, that's failing with kids, but it's about the bloated bureaucracy. It's about the politicization of unions and political paybacks. We don't need a Department of Education.
No.
And right now, our kids are doing so poorly. I mean, we spend more pretty much than any other country spends on kids, and our kids are doing horrible. And the last thing I want to say is, you know what? I wish these Congress people were more animated about the Department of Education when Randy Weingarten and the unions were saying, oh, we don't want to go to school. We don't want them, we don't want the schools to open. It's too dangerous for the teachers and for the kids. This is all political theater.
Greg, I don't know if people at home realize, but they might not be surprised at this point that the Department of Education spent $1 billion of our tax dollars promoting DEI in K through 12, and 60% of kids in America cannot read at the right level.
It's not surprising.
Big Balls can probably read it.
I'm just kind of shocked and disappointed that I'm the only one here wearing black. Why didn't you guys wear black? It's National Constipation Awareness Day. Make poo great again. What's with all the red?
Yeah.
Is this an attack on me? Look, the one thing to point out, I can't believe you're not asking me about Big.
I did. I said Big could probably read at this grade level.
He spelled it Big with an S and not a Z. So he's pretty serious about this. He could be for debutante coming out parties.
Yes.
You never know. You never know. This reminds me of the scientist Matt Taylor. Do you remember? We did this on the 5 like 10 years ago. He landed a spacecraft on a comet, but he was forced to apologize for wearing a Hawaiian shirt with scantily clad women on it.
Yeah.
And critics swarmed around him saying that he was discouraging. His shirt was discouraging young women from the sciences. Never mind the fact that this guy landed an effing spacecraft on a comet. The story is not about a teenager has a sophomoric sense of humor. The story is he's a computer scientist like at 17 who started like 5 companies. What were the CNN hacks doing, the media, the legacy media doing at that age? Certainly not that. If you think the USAID stuff was bad, the Department of Education could be way worse. And it's really bad. And the reason why they're scared is because none of it will be false. Like, this is all just an audit. It's a transparent audit. And you're going to find fraud and abuse. And why would you be upset? Why would you be upset if they find fraud and abuse in a department that we spend money on? You should be like welcoming this. What if it turns out that that's all you need to do to cut the budget? What if it's just all that? You don't have to do anything else. I'll just cut it short here. I just find it intriguing that nobody is upset except for these people. There were no heads of state upset over USAID, which was supposed to be benefiting other countries. Not a single country said, wait, don't go. It was just the NGOs and the people who get money from USAID through the NGOs that were throwing a fit because the gravy train is dead.
Guys, and I'll tell you this, it's just the Democrats, guys. None of the Republicans are there. Trump came out, Trump signs executive memo ordering a review of federal funding to NGOs. USAID was funneling it to NGOs, funneling it to Democrats' pockets and family members and all kinds of different people, guys. That is how corrupt things have been. And now Trump is ordering the review, investigations into all these corrupt institutions that have been taking taxpayer dollars and literally putting it back in their own pocket. Kelly Stanley, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Let's go. Thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, Biden will sell the secrets to the highest bidder. We'll see. Y'all show Andy some love in the chat. And thank you so much, Mr. Norby, again for the super chat. Let's go. He said, I said I'd gift big. The likes were too big after the earlier live show. Here's all the money I'm sharing to the channel again. Make it happen. Thanks for hitting the like, all the gift and memberships. Love all the family here. Let's go, guys. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. Remember, we take our donations, memberships, super chats, and we give it back to charity, guys, because we are doing some amazing things with this channel. And I want you to hear now from the special counsel, guys, because there's a lot of lawsuits that are happening. There's a lot of legal getting involved with the uncovering of all these audits on all these institutions. Check this out.
USAID, which has been under all of this scrutiny, they're going to cut the staffing from 14,000 down to 294 people over at USAID. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's very consistent after what we've learned. Look at what we learned with Politico, 8.1 million going to Politico, who funded ridiculous stories, hoax stories, witch hunt stories during an election. To me, sounds like election interference that was being funded by the Biden administration's USAID. I can tell you the craziest things I have ever heard, Rob. I literally wrote them down because I want to get them right, because the American people will be shocked when you understand what we are seeing. $6 million funding to Egypt for tourism, $7.9 million to Sri Lanka so that they know how to properly state their gender pronouns. These are the numbers that we're seeing coming in. $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and we've heard about all of the other things. So Rubio is doing something consistent with what our administration is, as I suspected. He's been great, as has Doge. When you're not funding ridiculous things, you don't need thousands of employees on taxpayer dollars on payroll, because we're not going to spend money that way anymore. We're going to be responsible with the obligations and the responsibility that we've been given.
Yeah, and you know that the American people are loving watching this. I mean, we know from polling that the American people largely do not like foreign aid, do not like throwing their money all over the world. And so much of it is also just seen, so much of it are these left-wing grifts, and it just really, like, why are we trying to spread leftism around the world? What are we trying to do there? And we've done it domestically as well. And I know you're fairly new to the political game, and I've never been in politics myself, but how fun is it to watch all of these politicians losing it as the government gets a massive audit from Elon Musk? The same people that were so enthralled to give us 80,000 more IRS agents to harass all of us, they get an audit and they're losing their mind. They're screaming all day long.
Yeah, I don't know if they didn't get the memo on November 5th, but America said, we're not buying it. We're not buying it, Chuck. We're not buying it from the 4, now the 3. We don't really care if you want to scream and yell and you want to say we're horrible white supremacists, because we want to save money for Americans so we can lower your taxes and so we can do some good and get the economy in shape. We don't care, and America didn't care. On November 5th, what they said was, we don't buy it. We call BS.
Yes.
And I think that it's very fun to watch. In some regard, it's sad to watch. I think that some of the language that they're saying is incredibly concerning for me, to be honest, on a serious level. People that screamed insurrectionist are now saying we are going to war. We've got people like Tish James in New York instructing hospitals to evade an executive order and saying it's the state that will say it, and you're going to lose federal funding, but you have to continue transgender mutilation. It's seriously disturbing, the TDS. I don't even know. I think we should come up with some new name for it now that we've won. But it's sick. And they don't care about America, that's for sure. They care about, having a TV moment, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it really proves just how, I think it proves how flimsy, today's leftism is, that it has to be fabricated by government money, and kind of imposed in these countries as that they're trying to, I guess, destabilize conservative nations. We heard some things, from the leader of Hungary about what USAID has done to his country, trying to push a different politic in his country away from him. I mean, this is what our foreign policy money is doing. Yeah. I mean, that's really sick. I want to get to one final thing before I let you go. Trump had 2 national prayer breakfast speeches this morning. He really had.
Guys, just want to say thank you so much for your support, guys. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help out the channel so much. And if you didn't know, Alina Habba, who's on the screen, is the special counsel to the president. So basically, the legal lawyer to the president, overlooking all the legal matters. Want to say thank you so much, Dr. Hill, who said, love this channel, and chat, let's go, dono train maybe. Hey, I love it. Y'all show Dr. Hill some love in the chat.
Some amazing things that he said in both of these speeches. I think this was my favorite soundbite of the morning. Take a listen.
After years of decline, Americans are reasserting our true identity as a people ordained by God to be the freest and most exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. But we weren't that for 4 years. I don't believe we were. And we're getting there very soon, very quickly. I'll be able to say it, and we'll be able to say it again.
the freest and most exceptional nation. We have been shamed by how great we are for a long time. That's over now.
Yeah, it's over. I was at the prayer breakfast, and it was my first time ever attending. And the president really spoke from an emotional place today, and it was really amazing. After what he's gone through, I do believe he has a really strong bond with God, and he is bringing that into the White House and into America. And he actually spoke a lot about bringing in the two parties to sit down. And he said at one point, if we could actually just sit down and work together, could you imagine what we could accomplish? And that was really something for me, for a man that's been persecuted so hard by the left and by the politicians sitting in that room. But he's been an amazing leader. And I think he's just his growth and with all the challenges that he's had, he's just tremendous. I'm really proud to be part of this administration.
Guys, it is amazing. I have to say this, guys. Like, watching Trump around like Obama and all them has actually taught me to be better. You know, even with people that have wronged you or whatnot, you still need to hold yourself, be cordial. You don't got to be best friends. You don't even got to like them, but you got to be cordial. Thank you so much, C24 McD, with the super chat. Said, I hoped big BALLS and Elon will sue CNN, Katie Drumford, and MSNBC for release his name to the public, which caused threats to his life. It's going to happen. Y'all show C24 some love in the chat. Guys, Trump is making America great again. He said, I will be signing an executive order next week ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws, which don't work, back to plastic. And y'all know paper straws suck. And on top of that, President Trump says Elon Musk's Doge will audit the Pentagon spending. In 2024, they failed their 7th consecutive financial audit, unable to account for $824 billion. You cannot make this up. Who in the world would we still leave in charge if they couldn't account for almost $1 trillion, everybody? Thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. Let's go. He said Democrats were not running to the Chinese embassy when China was given remote access to all Treasury workstations in December 2024. Exactly. They didn't say anything. You didn't hear any Democrats saying anything. But now when it's our own people doing an audit, checking on the spending, that's where they're afraid of it. Y'all show Andy some love in the chat, everybody. The next thing, guys, I'm telling you, we have some pit bulls, and one of them, I love her. She is kicking butt right now against all the people in Congress, showing them who's boss. Listen to this.
Nancy Mace, South Carolina Congresswoman and House Oversight Committee member. Congresswoman, President Trump weighed in on what he saw and we all saw today. Watch.
What did you think when you saw Democratic lawmakers trying to get into the Department of Education earlier today?
Oh, I see the same ones. I see Maxine Waters, a lowlife. I see, all these people. They don't love our country. They don't love our country.
Congresswoman, if this was reversed and a male conservative congressman was yelling in the face of a female security guard during a Democrat administration, what do you think the reaction would be?
Oh, there would be outrage by everyone in the leftist media, the legacy media. It would be all over the internet, that kind of propaganda. But it's not, right? Because they hate Donald Trump so much. They hate what he's doing. They hate our country. And we're seeing this in real time right before our eyes, how disloyal they are to the American people. They are literally losing it, melting down, tears every day on TikTok and all these different apps and X and Twitter and all the social media. And I can't tell you, I wake up every day and I just laugh. Somebody give them a bigger microphone, a bullhorn, keep screaming it, because we're going to win big in the midterms if they keep it up.
I love it.
Well, Congresswoman, going back to the USAID, which was a brilliant place to start for Doge, you've been documenting this for a long time in Congress, but I call it USAID deleted, okay? USAID deleted. Get rid of it because the rot runs so deep that you can't reconstitute it. It shouldn't be reconstituted. A lot of these agencies can be wrapped into other bigger departments, as will happen here in the State Department. And I think, getting rid of the sign, is this symbolically, this is the people's money. This isn't Nancy Pelosi's money, and it's certainly not, Maxine Waters' money.
Right. And you have to ask yourself, why is the left, why are all these Democrats having such a meltdown over exposing the waste, the fraud, and abuse within these government programs, within USAID, and how bad it is? And so, you look at it and you see, thank goodness that Donald Trump did get elected. We wouldn't know that this was going on. Like, I don't have enough staff to do that kind of research. And thank goodness Elon Musk has a team of people through Doge. Like, it's incredible. And I just uncovered the other day, over $10 million spent on making animals trans. And so it's just, what is going on here? But it's this information is being exposed to the American people, and I am so grateful for it. So grateful for Donald Trump.
Well, President Trump has given Musk and company some new marching orders. Watch.
You're going to find a lot, and I've instructed him to go check out education, to check out the Pentagon, which is the military, and, sadly, you'll find some things that are pretty bad.
Congresswoman, we've for many years on the angle said the DOD is chock full of bloat and waste, but a lot of Republicans like, oh, you can't touch the DOD. Is that the right mindset?
That's right. So the Pentagon actually has never passed an audit. And also, we just saw the other day, Zelensky doesn't know where $100 billion is of aid we've given. And so we have a lot of audits that we need to do in a lot of different agencies.
Congresswoman, thanks for what you've already uncovered, and keep at it. And breaking tonight, President Trump.
Let me tell you this. Trump is so strong in what he is doing. Look at what just came out, because I reported this the other day about Trump made the comment and said, look, we've given Ukraine almost $200 billion. They need to give us something back because this ain't free. Money don't grow on trees. Look what Zelensky just said. Zelensky said he's willing to give up Ukraine's rare earth minerals to the United States as a form of repayment for the aid. And I quote, "These deposits are priceless. It is huge amounts of money, huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we're talking about a deal, that's what the American want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal." Are you kidding me, guys? Biden would never do that. He would never be like, hey, you need to give us some back. He just keep giving our taxpayer dollars away. But Trump says, we're putting America first. We giving you all this money. You need to come. Something needs to come back to us. Want to say thank you so much, Mary Busby, for the super chat. Let's go. Said, let's go. Brought my popcorn to watch the Dims. And controller supported. Thank you so much for your support. Said, been watching for you for months. You're a solid guy showing the world the truth. Thank you. Hey, thank y'all guys so much. Y'all show them some love in the chat, guys. Y'all are so amazing. Just want to say thank you so much for all your support. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help. We've got over 1,500 people watching. Y'all are amazing. Check this out.
Before Doge, there was Bill Clinton. He cut 400,000 federal jobs. And Al Gore was the executioner.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
The Reinventing Government, or RIGO report, aims to save $108 billion over 5 years through eliminating scores of wasteful programs and regulations. Among the 800 recommendations, eliminating 12% of the federal workforce, merging some government agencies like the FBI, the DEA, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, closing hundreds of government offices outside Washington.
Gore should have fired Monica. Would have saved everybody a lot of trouble. It wasn't just Clinton and Gore. The Messiah said he was on a mission to trim.
From the day I took office, one of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending. Now, this does mean making some tough choices. It means cutting some programs that I think are worthy, but we may not be able to afford right now. We haven't seen as much action out of Congress as we'd like, and that's why we launched on our own initiative the campaign to cut waste.
Look at that. Barack was pro-Doge. Now that 65,000 bureaucrats took a buyout from Donald Trump, a very generous buyout, I might add, Democrats are getting very insurrection-y.
Who are you?
You're not coming in.
Who are you? And what do you do here?
What do you do here? Security responsibility.
Get out of the way. We pay for your job. So what are you going to do? You going to beat us up if we go in?
I mean, you're going to,
we want you to move
We're
out.
not dangerous people. There are no thieves and thugs out here. We're members of Congress.
They allow billionaires and his minions to come in.
I'm treating
the
us-
kids deserve to have us
Yes,
go in and
absolutely.
fight for them.
This is appalling.
The children of
This
this
is
country
so-
deserve that battle. for
This
them.
is a public institution. This is not Russia. He said he's a federal employee. We pay him. We raise money to make sure that we have a Department of Education. He's standing here today blocking the door, and he can't give us a good reason why he's blocking this door. Do they have guns on them? Do they have guns? Weapons. Are they prepared to shoot us? Does this remind you of the other people who have blocked the schoolhouse doors before? Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Boy, this is a flashback. And this is going to go out in history. The man who blocked the doors of the Department of... Hold your face up so they can see you. Give me that ID again.
I'm giving you the ID. I showed it to you.
So what?
I showed you the ID.
You do what?
I showed you the
Could
ID.
you let me see the ID again?
I'm surprised the Democrats knew where to find the Department of Education.
Wow.
Because test scores have been dropping for years, and this was the first time they showed up at the Department of Education to stop an audit. And Maxine's asking someone for ID, so racist. Here's the president.
I see Maxine Waters, a lowlife. I see, all these people. They don't love our country. They don't love our country. We want great education. So they rank 40 countries in education. We're ranked dead last. But the good news is we're number one in one category. You know what that is? Cost per pupil.
The more money we spend on education, the more test scores drop. Teachers' unions are doing all right. Not so much the students. Congress is spending trillions. So Doge is in there to look at the books. You're not going to let the people who cook the books come in and scream at you while you crunch the numbers. Try doing math with Mad Maxine screaming like a hyena. It's impossible. You can't. This is like letting your kids into the living room while it's getting cleaned. Nah, they made the mess. They're going to have to wait until we're finished. Musk has whiz kids running AI accounting algorithms, saving taxpayers billions. The correct response is thank you.
We begin tonight with Musk and Big Balls. That's the online name, according to Wired magazine, of a team tech whiz who, along with others, are helping the world's richest man do whatever it is he's doing, dismantling parts of the federal government.
Yes, so this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online, so that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge, and we looked into his background.
Wow. CNN thinks Big Balls is a villain, but if he cuts them off, he's a hero. Wow. Democrats would rather listen to a random Swedish teen than listen to Big Balls, a genius teen, saving us billions. We're spending nearly $250 billion at the Department of Education, and Democrats don't even want us to look under the hood.
I haven't heard one single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. They don't want to talk about the spending porn, the waste of taxpayer money that he's found. I mean, that's the point of all this. I tell you who is interested. The American people.
Yes.
Musk isn't in there stealing the money. He's catching the folks stealing the money. We haven't had anybody look at America's credit card statement for the last 25 years. Could you imagine if your wife grabbed the Amex bill out of your hands and said you weren't allowed to look? That's Maxine. It's childish. Time Magazine put Musk behind the Resolute desk and slapped him on the cover just to tweak Trump. Did the president take the bait?
Mr. President, do you have a reaction to the new Time Magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your Resolute desk?
Time Magazine
Is Time Magazine still in business? I didn't even know that.
Elon's nerd army sleeping at the Eisenhower building, working weekends, sifting through balance sheets. Doge just announced it discovered an Anthony Fauci exhibit at the National Institutes of Health, which would have cost $170,000. Well, the Fauci exhibit has been defunded. No department is safe.
It's absolutely obscene, dangerous, bad, very costly. I mean, virtually every investment made is a con job. There's nothing of value to anybody unless there's a kickback scheme going on, which is possible. And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall.
Elon started with USAID because it was the most obvious place to start cutting. And we heard the fraudsters squeal. But some of these departments are going to cooperate, like the Pentagon, which has failed 7 audits in a row.
We are going to focus heavily to ensure that at a bare minimum, by the end of 4 years, the Pentagon passes a clean audit. The American taxpayers deserve that. They deserve to know where their $850 billion go.
Yes.
How it's spent and make sure it's spent wisely. It used to be that if you called for an audit, somehow you were undermining the department. I believe the exact opposite. I believe we are accountable for every dollar we spend, and every dollar of waste we find or redundancy is a dollar we can invest somewhere else.
Guys, just want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Paul Carmichael, for the super chat. Let's go. And David Mellon, who said, I don't get to watch everything during the day, but I love that I can come here and get all the info and news for the day. Love the fam, and thank you for being here for us all. Hey, love you. Love you, David and Paul. Y'all show them some love in the chat. And guys, thank you so much for your support. Literally got over 1,600 people watching. If you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, guys, it really helps out grow our channel. Thank you for your support.
The EPA is also getting put on Ozempic. 100 environmental justice workers getting pink slips.
Ooh.
At USAID, headquarters is getting a makeover. The agency went from 10,000 headcount to 300. Biden's USAID chief, Samantha Power, is crying on the tracks of the gravy train.
You think this is a victory for dictators, autocratic regimes around the world who are competing with the U.S. in Africa, in South America, all around the world for influence?
Well, it's not even an opinion. They are out relishing this moment and celebrating it, including a statement, an official statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry today. So this is a disaster, not just from a humanitarian standpoint, from the standpoint of all the beneficiaries who may in fact die because they won't have access to U.S. resources, but it's a disaster for U.S. national interests and national security.
U.S. national interests and national security, like what? What is the U.S. interest in Juan becoming Juanita in Guatemala? How does Bert and Ernie in Baghdad help our national security? This isn't a victory for dictators. USAID money was propping up dictators, the dictators we like. And if we didn't like the dictator, USAID money went to regime change. This money was just about putting everybody in our pocket. And the deep state put the kickback in their pocket. We told you how foreign aid goes to coups and color revolutions. Well, get this. We told you Wednesday that USAID money was used to trigger Trump's impeachment through the CIA whistleblower. And now we're finding out that USAID administered the $1 billion loan Biden dangled to Ukraine to get the prosecutor investigating Hunter's company fired.
Wow.
USAID doesn't just mess around overseas. They've been caught screwing around here. USAID coerced big tech to censor freedom of speech. They did it right before the 2022 midterms. But the most criminal element to this foreign aid scheme is that the math shows it's one big kickback racket. This here is in the Wall Street Journal. Quote, some dollars do reach intended recipients around the world, but plenty of the funding goes to local affiliates of those same USAID subcontractors. By most assessments, less than 10% of U.S. non-military foreign aid ends up with locally based organizations.
That is corruption.
9 out of 10 USAID dollars ends up in the hands of crooked contractors. USAID was a taxpayer-funded charity scam, as well as a regime change bank. If a charity operated the way USAID does, but only 10% of the money went to feed the kids or save the whales, the executives would get arrested. The charity would get shut down, and everyone would be charged with fraud. USAID makes the Clinton Foundation look legit. Democrats didn't always defend USAID. In the 60s, the hippies used it to protest because it would fund counterinsurgencies in the third world. The New York Times published a searing expose about USAID bribing India to open their markets to American fertilizer exports. USAID funneled money to a Laotian general to create a private airline that he used to traffic opium. The profits used to finance the war against the Viet Cong. USAID is still doing the same thing, but they co-opted the far left by DEI washing the brand. Democrats were like, I don't know about propping up all these dictators and funding these coups. And USAID was like, guys, some of this money's going to sex change surgeries and DEI operas and green energy. And they were like, oh, well, in that case, have at it. On November 5th, America rejected regime change wars, DEI, trans surgeries, and the Green New Scam. But the Democrats are still not listening to the American people. USA Today says perhaps liberals should take a step back and think hard about what they're protesting. They aren't just in your face about Trump and Musk. They're also fighting the 77.3 million Americans who rejected what the Democrats were selling.
100%.
Dr. Rob
Guys,
Cohen's
let me tell you this, guys.
Army.
The amount of transparency we are getting is phenomenal, guys. What I'm about to show you, because it's been everybody. It's not just been the Democrats. Republicans have been in it too. Universities have been in it. I want to show you this, guys. But first, thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. Let's go. He said EU and globalists wanted this minerals too. Trump beat them to the punch 100% because he knows how to take care of America. And Mr. Tracy J. Norby with the super chat. Let's go. He said, I hope you get my email, brother. True Life News. Corruption is at its best. What I sent you, hard to share what I found. Makes a person wonder. It's seen 40 years happening. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. Guys, I'm telling you, the corruption has been happening. Oh, and thank you so much, Miss B, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Miss B some love in the chat. Right here, Elon Musk posted, can you believe the universities with tens of billions in endowments were siphoning off 60% of research award money for overhead? What a ripoff. So check this out. Last year, $9 billion of the $35 billion that the National Institute of Health granted for research was used for administrative overhead. So when you look at this chart right here, guys, this is corruption at its best. Harvard, Yale, and Johns Hopkins have endowments. So basically people that have said that they're giving this money to these universities because they're alumni or whatnot for tax write-offs. Collectively, they have over $100 billion. But yet, when it comes to actually paying their bills, they're paying it with taxpayer dollars that was supposed to go for research. Maybe that's why we haven't found a cure for cancer or diabetes or all this stuff. Because we're going to pay, instead of doing the research, we're going to pay for salaries. When these universities have all this over $100 billion. Guys, the corruption has been found. I'm so thankful that we've got the Trump team in. I'm so thankful that we're seeing this. We're getting to report this to you, and you're getting to see it firsthand. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. Thank you to all of our subscribers. Guys, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let me take care of you with the top news. And if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help out. Guys, we've had an amazing show. We're going to get some fireworks. I want to say thank you to Mr. Tracy J. Norby again. Hey, he's got the Superman emoji in the super chat. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. Guys, before I show you, give some thanks for the super chats, I want to show you this again. Woodbury Hill Studio, one of the members of our community, did a phenomenal job. You can find them on Instagram at Woodbury Hill Studio. Painted this for the channel, guys. How amazing is that? We're going to hang this back here, but they did a phenomenal job. This is a real oil painting, guys. Want to say thank you, Dr. Hill, Woodbury Hill Studio, for this, guys. Y'all show them some love in the chat. That is so cool. Want to show some love to Ruby Hoove, David Mellon, Ty Matt Chong, Sharon Holt, Sherry Garcia, Andy, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Woodbury Hill Studio, Kelly Stanley, C24 McD, Mary Busby, Controller Supported, Paul Carmichael, David Mellon, Miss B. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. We are so grateful to be able to serve you every day with the top news, guys. This is truly a dream come true to serve you, bring this top news, build this show for you. I hope you get value out of it. And we just want to continue doing this every single day. Remember, Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. We love you all, appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next.